Yeah, I thought about something, but I forgot. It was yes, the part we discussed the story, the part of time, how much time is involved in the story. I mean, the time part. I think it's main in the story, right?
Yeah, you could say time is the story.
Yeah.
The story. Yeah, I mean, time. You can't have a story without time, or time without a story. Time is the story. In a way, it's like part of the structure of it. In a way, or the right.
But if you are describing something, just a description, it can not involve time, and it might still be a story. Or you are saying this is a tree, or there is a forest. Like it's not something related to time, but it's still.
Yeah. Well, I mean, trees are in time, right? Have you ever seen a tree that wasn't in time?
Yeah, space and time.
Yeah.
They come together. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
You're right.
That's the appearance of what, what shows up in time, and it shows up with a story in a sense of like what it is. But the story, when we talk about a story, in other words, the story, because the message of this communication is that there's a story showing up that isn't real, right? So, we could say, well, there is a story that is real in a sense. I mean, there's a tree, there's a tree out on the street. So that's a story, but there's a reality to it, right? But when I say that there's a story that isn't real, I'm talking about the story of me, the story that I live, the story of my reality, my experience. That's the story that doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
Because what we could say exists, in other words, isn't real. It's not real. It doesn't have any reality to it, because what has reality to it is just here as it is, without any story added onto it.
Without any me added onto it. That's
right.
It.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we are saying that there are two types of stories.
You could say that in a way, because when we say the me falls away, that's a story. But when there's no one who's in the story, then there's still things going on, we could say, right? There's still appearance. The world is still appearing. Okay, we could say, but okay, so there's just a Zoom meeting happening, a picture on a laptop or a phone or something. Okay, and there seems to be people on the screen. So that's a kind of a story, but it's just appearing as it is without being able to know anything about it. In other words, that's the story. The story is what we know about what is just simply appearing. So it's like added on to what is just simply here as it is, that we can't say anything about, because there isn't.
It's a personal, yeah.
And the thing that we would, when we start to talk about it or say that there's, it's this or it's that, that is the story. Yeah. So, yes.
Judgment and interpretations, judgment, evaluation, all these things.
All the things that come from me.
Yeah. So, but the other type that I was saying, that this is a tree, I mean, it's an appearance. It's a real and unreal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so it's a little confusing to talk about appearance as a story, because then it gets confused with what we mean by the.
Yeah. It's a label. It's use of word. It's a label, use of word.
Yeah,
but it doesn't. Yeah.
but we could call it just the appearance. So there's
Yeah.
always an appearance, because this is an appearance. There's nothing that doesn't appear, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But then there's the story, which is, this whole business of what the appearance is, what it means, and what's going on in time, and in my story, in related to me, right? So that's the story, and that's what ain't here. Never here. It's never here. There's the only thing that is, well, here, even here is a story, right? Of course, here's how me sees, everything showing up as, but yeah, so whatever, there's something we can say, comparing, that is just what it is. And that's what is. That's all that there ever is. And then there's this me that somehow is this function of adding the story onto this. And that never happens. That never appears. Only what appears is just only ever just this, the so-called sitting on a couch.
Yeah.
Or talking.
So if I come and describe the appearance, just describe it without any add-on, without any meaning, without any evaluation, it's not a story, or at least what we are referring to. It's just description of what is. This is.
Well, yeah, I mean, we try to, I mean, that's the spirit of it, but then you see that once I try to describe something, I'm already putting it into, I'm already adding on, and that's
no, I'm saying there is a tree. That's it. Okay, this is.
Right, except that I'm just also pointing out that we can't really do that, because even saying that it's a tree is already giving a version of something that doesn't have a version. It can't really be represented at all, because it's unknown.
But would you call it a story, this one? That's what, just to understand.
I'm just pointing out that in a way we can't get away from any story, because we're
that's why I said that there are two types of stories.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's I'm gonna have to think this through and how to make that clear to, that's good. But I mean, the point is, another way of talking about this is, go ahead.
No, the point is that that there are a lot of speakers that use the word story, and just to understand some, what do they mean?
Okay, exactly. So let's try to get it more clear. The story, again, is, like I say, it's just what's added on to just what is.
Yeah.
What's here showing up just as it is, that we cannot talk about. I mean, we can't put it into any we can't freeze it into something. It's just what it is, and it's also me, right? I'm not separate from it. So how could I say what it is? I'd have to say, and it's everything. How can you say what everything is? It's everything appearing as this thing, just as it appears, which is also famous nothing. Because it isn't anything. It's just nothing, everything.
Yes.
Okay, but the story, so then what is the story? The story is just this, but as a kind of knowledge. In other words, it's this with the add-on of what I know about this. In other words, I'll tell the story of this, of what's happening. That's what I know. And that's putting it into language, and it's putting it into a story of time, and it's bringing in the me, this person who everything is related to.
Objectifying it also, yeah.
Yeah, well, it is. It's making just this into an object, exactly. Yeah. And there is no object. And that's the big mistake. If we, call the me a mistake, so to speak, a misunderstanding, the me is seeing everything as an object, including me. I'm one of the objects, and I'm related to
This is
everything.
the start.
And that creates the story of how me is related to everything, the world, my experience, and then what's going on, how I'm moving through the world and what's happening and what everything is in terms of me and what I know. And it's all made out of knowledge. But the point is, there isn't any knowledge. There just ain't knowledge. There's no way for knowledge to start and become anything. Knowledge is just a story that's told, right? And it's made out of its own.
I get you. Yeah. So it's
Yeah. But again, the me is the one who doesn't quite get this and thinks that the knowledge is real and thinks that the story is actually creating something real. And that there's actually someone in there that it's happening to, and it's known. So, I can tell the story. This is a room, and I can, say everything that's going on and where it's located, and, and then all the meaning of everything and what's good about this room and what's bad and what it needs to be and what it should, all that's my life. And the one thing that we kind of left out a little bit, although we didn't really leave it out because we're talking about the me. All this story is the story for me. But the story for me also has always this quality of the story is always about me and my need to get what I don't have. This feeling of lack, this feeling of not enough, this feeling of not okay, needing to get complete, or to just, to get that thing that's missing.
To feel fulfilled,
And that's the story, but that is what is never here. Because we just told a big story about what the story is, but the only thing that is ever here, even with all these stories, is just this, with no story, just what is, just talking, whatever that is. It's a mystery, right? And how did
But even the story is it, right?
Yeah, the story. Yeah, the story. It is it. Yes, and the story is appearing to. Yeah, it's all it. There only is it, and it's a weird thing. You can't explain
everything
how
is it.
How is it possible that there's this separate thing called me and this separate thing called a story, which seems separate, but at the same time, there's just this. So the separate thing was never created. It never came into being. And nothing ever comes into being except just what is. And in this story, but there's a story of things coming into being and changing and going along a line, it's this now, and then it'll be something else, and then it's moving toward something. That's the way the story appears. And of course, for me, that's the most important thing, because again, I feel like I need to get somewhere. I need to get what I don't have, and I need to feel better. I need to have my experience be different than it is. So there's that connection to that story of how things are moving and where they're going to. And then again, that brings in the whole feeling of control. That's also me. I have control over this story. I have some kind of ability to affect things and make things, to get what I need and to change the story to be better and to find meaning and purpose and all that. And at the same
continuity,
continuity, time
for the me, after death and after life and parents and babies,
and the whole world, continuity with everyone else, with all the different places and all the different times. So it's like the continuity back in time, as you just said, my history and where I am now and where I'm going to. So that's the story of continuity, but it's also a continuity in the sense of continuous with everything else in space, let's say, or, all the other people and all the other, all the features of my experience, all the objects, in other words. And the idea is all created with this idea that I'm an object and that this is an object. And of course, I'm a special object, which we call the subject, me. So I'm the special object that everything is happening to, and I'm at the center of it. So I'm an object, but I'm also a subject because I'm seeing everything as in this relationship between subject and object. And that's what isn't true. So that goes back. That's what we're pointing to. There is no subject or object. There isn't, things aren't appearing as separate. It's just what's appearing as it is, with no separate and no relationship, no objects, but it appears as objects.
I'm a separate, I'm a special object and eternal object. I mean, with the concept of, reincarnation and
yeah. Or even
who knows? But I'm, it's like the me. It's find a way to live forever.
Yeah.
This is how I see it. I think the story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a trippy meditation to think about. How I feel like I'm eternal in a certain way, but then in another way, I feel so limited that I'm trying to be eternal. I feel like I'm not eternal enough, in a sense, as me, because I feel like I'm always, threatened with being cut off, with ending,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the eternal in the sense that that I exist as a separate entity, as a special individual, and I will always exist.
Right.
It's like the continuation of the illusion,
right,
through stories of incarnation and stories of after, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, because I can't imagine not existing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm already on this. To be me is to be, it's like I was, somehow I showed up and like I'm being pushed forward in my story, kind of like I'm being propelled forward, and that it just needs to keep going. And there's, just the feeling of needing to keep going and go, or not even needing, but just go. I am going and going and going. It kind of, and there's no end. I can't, because I just am this feeling of going eternally in a way, which again, it's really kind of that, and that's the story too, in a way. It's like trying to keep this going forever, to keep this, whatever it is, just keep moving forward and forward and forward. Anyway, I don't know, we're just kind of tripping out on
I was driving my car and sorry, I'm not sure if anyone else wants to say something.
Yeah, anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys will jump in whenever you feel like it.
Yeah. So I was saying I was driving in my car and I felt that it's not moving. I don't know. It's like I'm not moving.
Yeah.
I mean, the car is. I don't know how to explain it. Would you say something about that? Can you relate or something?
Well, yeah, I can. I think so, because this sense of moving, really, it comes from this idea of that I'm an object among objects, and everything is in this thing called space, and moving in time, it's a setup. It's not actually happening. That's why we call it an illusion. And so you kind of like, you know, had a moment of seeing, parting the curtain of the illusion, because, you know, it's kind of like, you can see that it's all like a special effect. We feel like I feel like I'm moving. I go, you know, walk to the store. Okay, I was here and now I'm somewhere, you know, now I'm down the block and I'm, you know, going to the store. There's moving. But actually, that's just an illusion. It's just part of the kind of the special effect of the dream, because actually there is nothing moving. There's this perceptual thing that we can't say how it is or what it is, but it creates the idea of, okay, there's somebody here who's moving in a field that we call the world, and all these other things moving, but actually nothing is moving. And that's why we also say, you know, it said that this is all nothing. How does nothing move? Nothing doesn't move.
Yeah.
It's nothing appearing as movement, as a story of movement, but actually nothing's moving. And there's nowhere to go to, because it's all, wherever you go, you're still here, right? You're in exactly the same place. And whatever you do, it's still just this. And which really points out what this whole suffering thing is about, and why we talk so much about the me, make such a big deal of pointing it out and pointing out the story. Because the feeling of the me is, I'm moving and I need to move to that place that's going to be okay. As I'm here and I'm feeling the limitation of where I am and how it is. And I need to move to a different place that will feel okay and that will have what I need. That's the story of moving in my, you know, moving from where, you know, what's going on now to something that will happen in the future. I'm changing the metaphor a little bit in time, you know, rather than physical movement, but it's all the same thing. It's me having to move to where I'm going, as, you know, in other words, to get to that okay place. That's what the whole story is about. But again, the suffering, that is suffering. That's why we're talking about this, because there is no movement. So that thing, everything that me is trying to do, everything I am trying to do every moment in my story is trying to get that movement that will be the right movement and fix my problem. But there is no movement. And that's why it never works.
Yeah.
And
there are no two points, right?
No 2 points, exactly.
It's very difficult to explain it.
Yeah, and the me can't see it, because again, the me is, I'm already moving and I'm already assuming 2 points. And again, you could say that's what the me is. The me is this claim or this assumption, this feeling of their 2 points. And I'm here, and then there's a point over there, and I need to get to that point because I feel that where I am within the point there I'm at, where I am, is not enough. And that there's some other point that will be enough. And I need to get to that. And again, what we're pointing out is that, no, that's the illusion. There are no 2 points. All the points are just this. So what I'm looking for as me in my story is just what is already here. All the points are here. Everything is here. Everything I'm looking for, everything there is all just this, as it is. Just whatever is happening. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, it wasn't something I don't know. It wasn't a pleasant experience or something special, or just like. At first, I felt like, what? I don't know. It's like something happened to you. Why it's not moving? But
yeah,
then it was kind of funny, you know. It's like, okay. And I tried today. This happens few days ago, but I tried to do it again, to force it again. It's not.
Yeah, of course.
It's not possible. Yeah.
Well, you don't need
just want to see. it's like, yeah, it's, what is this?
Yeah, you don't need to, but it is kind of neat.
Yeah.
Little, it's like these little glitches in the movie, you know, or kind of show up, so you kind of see that, you notice that it's a movie. In other words, you notice that it's just kind of a special effect being created. It's not actually real, and it's assumed. And all the knowledge, you know, I've got all my knowledge, which keeps it together, keeps the illusion, keeps it to seem like it's being, like it's something real. But then there are these little glitches that show up. And like, it reminded me, what you were saying reminded me of, like, sometimes you're stopped at a stoplight and there's a bus next to you, and or you just, and the bus starts going forward, and all of a sudden you feel like the car's moving, your car's moving backwards because of the framing.
Backward, yeah.
And so you know, I'm now going back.
You panic, yeah.
Because the effect, the illusion had been changed. The conditions of the illusion were changed so that it now seems like I'm going back. That's what's going on all the time. It seems like I'm going forwards, but I could just be easily going backwards, or not going, or just being, you know, staying in one place. It's the dream that makes everything seem to be moving in the way that it is, and have the meaning that it has. But if you look at it, you see, you know, just look closely, which is what a lot of these practices of inquiry are about. You know, just stop and look. You start to see, no, well, what's actually real here? And eventually you end up with, well, there's something real here, we could say, but it's not anything that I know, not anything that I could describe, and not, you know, it's just what it is, and it doesn't need to be described. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's funny what you mentioned now, the self-inquiry. I mean, it's because of the self-inquiry that I'm listening to this message. So it's like, cause and effect now. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that I mean, self-inquiry as a practice helps to see that, starting to see that there is no me, or this what the entity, the entity that we take ourselves to be, that make choices and has free will and all these things. So it was, I'm just saying it's helpful. It was helpful at some point.
Well, this thing, self-inquiry, I mean, a lot of, you know, in terms of like the world of radical non-duality and speaking about it, which I guess I'm part of in some way. I haven't figured out the rules and everything about it. But I mean, very often people will kind of dismiss self-inquiry, you know, as something that, you know, doesn't make sense.
That's why I'm pointing out. Yeah.
But which, you know, there's a reason to say that, and it makes sense in a certain way. You know, all these, I mean, it's sort of, it's a project that me would take on, as, you know, it's another story. So in that sense, but in another way, I mean, this is self-inquiry we're doing right now. You know, I mean, everything is, you know, we're looking into what's what, you know, and that comes from a knowing that there's some confusion here. There's something that, you know, in other words, there's a story here. It's kind of a reaction to the story, and knowing that there's something not quite right about this story. And so there's a natural looking into it. So
so what sharing this message is by itself an inquiry, or a form of self-inquiry.
Right. So even, you know, listening to a Tony Parsons video or something is a kind of self-inquiry, you know. So or inquiry, you could just call it. It's just looking into what is going on here. What is this, you know? And what is this me?
Except, you know, self-inquiry has an intention. And the speakers of radical non-duality, they say that this message has no intention, or it's just coming out of nothing.
Right. Yeah, and it also implies that there's someone here who has an intention and can do something. And so, yeah, in that sense, it makes sense to talk that way. But I'm just kind of pointing out that things are not really that simple, because there sort of is an intention here.
Definitely. I don't know if I can speak. If there is a me, yes, there is an intention. I cannot see as that is seeking, right? I would say this is about me, about myself. I don't know others, but yeah. There is an intention, even if it is entertainment or anything, could be, or to listen to something new, something that resonates, something that because when there is the me energy, it's not easy. Maybe it's impossible to convince the me energy that there is no path.
Yeah, it is impossible.
Right? It is a path.
Well,
for the me itself, I mean, it's no matter, even if you understand and analyze, but the me always feel that there is a path, that there can be a path.
That is what the me is. I mean, the me is the
process, yeah.
The experience that I am on a path. I'm moving toward something. That's the story. Yeah. That's the story. I mean, every story is a story of a path, of moving from one place to another through the story. It's like there's always, in other words, there's something going on. So I'm doing something. In other words, my path is like what I'm doing. And that's always moving forward in time along a path, you could say, because the path is my intention. It's the meaning of what I'm doing, is following my path. Let's say, I mean, even if I'm, just wanting to go into the kitchen to get, a cup of tea, there's my path. My path is this intention of wanting the tea and going to do it. There's my path to the tea and whatever. And me is always somewhere on a path. So yeah, of course I'm going to see, and ultimately the path is about getting free, because the me feels, I'm not free. I'm not free enough, and I don't have what I need. So I'm on the path to get that. So I'm saying, yeah, the me is always on a path. And the other way of saying that is it's always in a story. So the story is always the path. So if you take the path away from the me, then you don't have a me anymore. Yeah. What's the me if it's just here doing nothing, not moving toward some goal? Even if the goal is to just abide as.
Yeah. I wrote this in the email today to send it to you, and then I didn't. I was saying that without a story, there is no me. And without a me, there is nothing. And without nothing, it seems scary. And then you go back to the cycle of you need a story, the meaning, or else it's,
absolutely scary to me. Because that's why, again, we keep saying me can never hear this. The message, essentially, so-called message, is just that there's nothing. This is nothing, period.
Yeah.
And the me can never hear that, because the me is.
It is something. It's something.
Something and needing something else. So if you say nothing, that's like the end of everything that I am. So, it's like cancellation of me. And so of course that's what the me is afraid of course.
And that's the point of the message, is to starve the something by giving it nothing continuously. This is just a,
Yeah,
I mean,
if you want to put say this message into a version of a a practice of, then maybe that would be what the practice would be. But of course, people like, I mean, real non-duality language would not say that we're trying to starve the me,
yeah.
But
Yeah, you are right. They don't say that. Yeah.
yeah, but there are a lot of paths that are maybe not quite at the radical point that would say that and would have that as a practice, of course. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But actually, you do hear people talk like that, just even in radical non-duality, that this is about starving the me, and
Really, yeah.
and theoretically, just even here, to the extent that I'm, have an intention about what I'm talking about, in a sense, I am doing it. I'm trying whatever, but there is some sense and intention of like not giving the me any food, not giving fuel to this me thing. There's a sense of that,
Yeah.
up to a point, even though there is no me and there's nothing to do about the me. So
Yeah. It's just this energy playing out and seeking, and
yeah,
we use language and we call it me and all these.
Yeah, but there's no need to do anything about it, and there's no one who could do anything about it.
Yeah. It's doing. It's happening by itself, right?
It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way to add anything to it, and there's no way to take anything away from it. There's no way to do anything. It just is what it is. So this is just all what it is. And it's totally paradoxical and it's weird. It's just like nothing talking about how to, about how the nothing has a confusion or a problem called this me. It's, I don't know. But this
it's yeah. And now I'm thinking that, okay, we are using words. I mean, freedom. It cannot be except nothing. Freedom. It cannot be something.
exactly. So there is no freedom. I mean, freedom,
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
it's something that is going to happen, something that I can get, something that can come. This thing, this state called freedom or something. There isn't. This is whatever freedom would be. Is just this. This is freedom.
Yeah.
And it's being looked for by the me. You could say, in a way, what we're calling the me is this experience of looking for what is just always already just what it is, as it is. And it's complete freedom. It's there's no restriction, there's no boundary, there's no anything, there's no edge to it. It's everything.
Yeah. For so long we had the idea that freedom is something beautiful, it's something that is
right.
Love and stuff like it's goodness and stuff like that. So we cannot come to and to grasp that freedom can be war or something cruel or something, because of the conditioning of the word freedom, right?
Oh yeah, the conditioning of all the words,
Yeah,
all the words that go together and create this illusion of something that the me takes to be real, my reality. And now I need to find this freedom, but I'm looking for it as one of these words, as one of these. In other words, it's the idea of something that isn't here. that there's some freedom that is something else. It's not here, it's not this. Some quality that's, you know.
Yeah, yeah. State, some place.
Right. But there isn't any state.
Yeah, yeah.
This is it, and it's not a state. It's not doesn't have any particular qualities that make it freedom or not freedom. But it is what is.
This is amazing. This takes away a lot of, if this is understood or heard, takes away a lot of beating yourself up or feeling guilt, because you always had expectation how you should be, and in the being spiritual correct, how you should behave, how you should be, and right now I should be meditating, I shouldn't. So this message coming and saying this is it, that there's nothing else. So it's like, I don't know if I explained it well.
No, I think you did. Well, that's freedom, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Freedom,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's really, again, it's the freedom from knowing, because what you're talking about is all these expectations and demands and all these ideas about how I need to be and how I'm not being what I need to be and what I need to do. But that's all.
And why I'm thinking like that? I shouldn't be thinking like that.
Right.
Why is this? Yeah, self. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Awful.
Well, again, then that's the me. But that all comes from knowing this idea that I know how things are supposed. I know what things are, and I know how they're supposed to be, and I know what I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing, and that there's some way that I can do what I'm supposed. I can make this what it's supposed to be. Can make
in order to be good, in order to feel good or feel better or feel conscious or whatever.
Yeah, and the idea that I know, that's the knowledge. I know how this is and how it's not good enough and how to make it good enough, and I can do that. I'm a separate person who has this power to make things good, make things how they need to be. That's the eternal search of me, and it doesn't. That's what we're pointing out. That's all based on this idea that I know how things are, and I know what is, and I know what would make it better. And and that just isn't. There just is what is. And of course, while I know all this stuff, I'm pushing away the perception of just what is, as it is. And I can't feel the freedom of it. I can't feel the thisness of it, because I'm totally involved with these ideas of what I know things are, which is a cage.
Yeah, knowing as the like the first activity of the me.
Yeah, exactly.
Without knowing, there's nothing.
That's right.
Back to nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. When we say there's no me, we're pointing out there just is no knowing.
Already. Or all knowing is, like Tim says, is empty. Or
yeah, it's empty. There's no way to make it anything other than empty. You can't.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You can only just try to fill it with more knowing, right? That's all knowing is. It's just knowing, more information, more ideas, more stuff, but it's not just all made up. It's not grounded in what is. It's separated. That's again, it's an illusion of its own creation in a way. It's all made out of knowing, but there's nothing to it, as Tim says. It's just empty.
Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be known, and even the idea of knowing doesn't arise, right? It's just no need. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, it's like the conversation opens some.
Yeah, I think I said this somewhere recently. I mean, like where does this idea even come from to know anything? Why would you think of knowing anything, right? Like, in other words, what's here is just what is, as it is. There's no need to know about it. There isn't anything to know about it. That's the whole point. So this idea of knowing comes in, but where does it come from? Why would I need to?
Yeah.
You think, like, newborn babies don't think about knowing, right? They're just being whatever is. So somehow this idea of knowing comes in, but
again, from the lack, they come together.
Somehow, yeah. Right, exactly, because, well, good point, because I need to know, because I have this job of filling the lack, and I need to get what I don't have. And how can I get what I don't have if I don't know anything? You know, if I don't know what I'm missing, and I don't know how to get what I need, and I don't know what everything is, so I know how to move and in order to get what I need, because I have this project, this job that is prior to everything, which is getting fulfilled, or however you say it, maybe getting safe, or getting clear, getting my bearings, you know, so I'm, whatever it is, but it's basically filling the void, you know.
Feeling enough,
Getting enough, feeling enough, and getting that feeling that I don't have, or fixing the feeling that I do have, which is this feeling of really, you know,
discomfort.
But how can I do that if I don't know anything? I need the knowledge. Knowledge is my
knowledge is power. It's one of the main.
The power to get what I need and I don't have. So that's the whole cycle of knowledge. And again, it makes up this idea of knowledge to fill the void. Like you said, the void, you could say, comes first, and then I need the knowledge to deal with the void. But it's all just all crazy.
So
there isn't any void, and there isn't any knowledge, and there isn't any, this cycle isn't, but that's the illusion. That is me. That's the experience. So it builds the story. So then again, we have this feeling of me living my story, and it goes on and on and on. And this kind of communication, the so-called non-duality, is just pointing to, no, there's just this.
Yes.
All that other stuff is made up, and there's no evidence for it. There's no reason for it. There's no, you know.
There is nothing else that can be said other than this message. I mean, this is it.
Yeah.
Maybe that is, I don't know. I don't want to be exclusive, but yeah. And I mean, what can you come and say? Because there is an illusion. And this illusion should, if it's seen, that's it. If it's not seen, okay, that's it.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter either way. Because you said there's an illusion, but actually just there appears to be an illusion. There seems to be an illusion.
From the point of view of the individual, if you are looking from the individual, there is it's an illusion. From the point, maybe from the point of view of nothing, there is nothing.
Well, okay.
Well, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
But the illusion doesn't do anything. I mean, it doesn't cancel the fact that there's just this, because the illusion is just this, right? Yes. So that's the craziness of it. It's just.
Yeah. It's like there is no me. Already.
There's no me, and there's no.
Free will, there's no choice.
Project, no illusion, nothing to do, nobody to do anything about anything. But at the same time, there's Zoom meetings talking about it, and
there is suffering.
And the so-called response to suffering, which is the so-called non-duality speaker pointing at. It's already just the case, and it's just a funny, I don't know, a dance, right?
The radical, you mean, non-duality?
Well, yeah, that's what I I mean, or but
Yeah.
just maybe all the other ones too are just kind of doing it in their own way, you know, however they're talking.
Yeah.
It's just all these
Yeah.
apparent people talking, or apparent people like doing things about so-called doing, you know, like, well, let's say responding, responding to this illusion, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. You spend maybe 10 years working with one thought, and you cannot do anything with. At least, okay, my experience, I couldn't do anything with it. Imagine, I mean, except that at the end you hear the message that it's just what's happening. It's like it helps somehow. I don't know, because before you are trying to fix this thought and change it, and you know there is cognitive therapy. There is CBD. I don't remember. Many things, many ways to deal with thoughts and emotions.
Right. Oh yeah, and then all the other millions of different, you know, therapies and philosophy,
Yeah.
spiritual paths, and all, you know, yeah, endless.
I don't want to say they don't work, but it's like you are living as a slave to these thoughts and emotions. Oh, is it? Oh, no. It's like you are living with them all the time.
Yeah, and you just said
That's what's happening. Yeah.
You said
Yeah, sorry.
10 years working with one single thought.
Yeah.
Which in a way that describes every life. That's what life is, only more than 10, you know, maybe 80 or 100 years. But essentially it's working with a single thought, which is, well, you know, I am here and I need to do something about it or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Or whatever the thought is. So in a way, all the different thoughts are just different versions of the same thought.
It's you consider it a negative thought or something that's creating some emotional.
Yeah, but you're right. The story, it creates this whole big movie or this big production that seems like if I can just think enough in the right way, then I can, you know, make some progress here, and I can get on top of the problem and maybe even get free.
Because there is also a promise from the outside that we can, and you can see that other people, they show you that they freed themselves from these things, and you feel, okay, I want this.
That's right.
Understand? It's like this is very important part, because someone is telling you, I fix it, I know how to fix it.
Yeah.
Let me fix it, let me help you. And then you start and you try and you get very disappointed that it's because it's not being fixed.
Right.
You understand? It's even worse.
Yeah.
Why it's not?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great story, you know, but somehow it also it seems that, you know, that never, you know, never works. That person that solved the problem never seems to be able to help me, you know. I mean, I'm saying, like you say, we hear about the person who solved the problem, and I want to go to him, the guru, and do what he says and do what he did, and then I'll solve my problem. But that doesn't really seem to work so much. And, you know, great, it would. But then you have this communication, which is pointing to something different, which is, look, again, there's not a problem, and there's not anybody who needs to solve a problem. You know, look, what's here is just already no problem. End of story.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
Just starting step by step. But when you hear that, the thoughts, because this was something I looked for before hearing anything, and where do thoughts come from? Because, you know, I asked myself this question, and I found many answers that has nothing to do that it's from nothing or something. Like it can come from the brain or from somewhere. So it's like I am creating the thought, and I need to fix it.
Exactly.
Till I heard that you have no control. I mean, there is no you. The thoughts appear, and the funny thing that the thought that can bug you for 10 years disappear on its own without you doing anything. Or
right, there's nothing
just like that. It's yeah.
Again, that's the me. I mean, the me is this idea that I need to solve this problem. I've got the problem and I need to solve it, and so now I'm doing it. But And like you say, so there's this, I start looking for the source of the problem. You know, if I can just find the source of it all, get at that, and then I can get, you know, find out how this is all happening, then, you know, I can solve the problem. Like you say, just keep looking. Where is it coming from? You know, where is it? How is this all happening? That's the project of me looking into, you know, to find the source. But then the closer I get, the more I see that, wait a minute, it's my own knowing that is the problem. I mean, my knowing that there's a problem, and
good
knowing,
point.
you know, and what do you do with that, right? So that's where you say, well, okay, maybe you'll see one day that that's gone. That whole idea of, you know, that circuit of knowing, that machine, in a way, it's like a machine of knowing that just is its own, like a perpetual motion machine. It just keeps generating the problem and generating the need for the solution, because it starts with the idea that I know. I'm here, this thing that knows. And maybe it just, one day, it's just seen that that isn't here. Because I know also is the sense of separation. I know, you know, that's the separate one that knows.
Yeah.
It can be
The
seen.
prime activity.
There is no knowing. There's nothing like that happening. That just isn't. It isn't here. There's not a separation. There's not a knowing, and there's nothing to know. This is it.
Yeah.
This is what's being looked for, but it can't ever be known. It's already what it is.
Lovely. Yeah. I think someone sent you something on the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I forget to look at the chat.
Not sure. No.
Cool. Wood is wood and ash is ash. And then hearts. Great. I think that was to everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Dan, thank you guys so much. This was really great.
Is that Al?
Yes.
Oh, good. Great. Thank you, man.
See you next time.
Yeah, okay. I guess we, oh, Elizabeth, she has a face. Hi, Elizabeth.
I can't believe it's been a whole hour. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Can you
I'm
hear
so
me?
glad. I'm really glad.
I just want
Yeah,
to,
we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were here having our own little,
It was wonderful. I love it. I love it. I love it so much.
oh, I'm so glad. Yeah. And
I've
I'm
been
glad.
listening to this message for a couple of years and stumbled across you, Dan, and somehow the way you express it is just, it's just wonderful. I love
Oh,
it.
thanks so much. And yeah, you said hello before, and I was just looking to see you, and now I did. So that's great. Well,
It's so amazing to me right now. Like lately when I join any meetings, it's like you've all been saying all this time that there's no words for this. I can't describe it. It's undescribable. And I think I must have thought that, oh, that means it's so wonderful you can't talk about it. Like, so when it is being seen, it's just a shock. And I think, well, Tony never said this, or,
oh,
and then I realized, oh yeah, there's nothing to say. There's absolutely, the most lofty thing I could think of isn't even touch it. And so in the meetings, you've been talking for an hour and you're not talking about it, but it's like magic happens somehow.
mhm.
The words that actually aren't describing it, it can be seen. And I'm just
Yeah,
amazing.
it's great. Yeah, it is. I mean, in a way, it is too beautiful for words. It's also, it's that,
Yeah, that's the way it is too. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
it's also just too ordinary for words, which is kind of what you're saying.
Well, I think I had an idea from all
Yeah,
this.
yeah, of course, right. And
You know,
that is
awesome
I
glimpse.
think that's what this is about. Just
Yeah.
pointing to, yeah, all these things that are being looked for. Here it is. This is it. Yeah. but it's great to be able to do it in like a meeting of people talking too. And like you said, we filled an hour with a bunch of words. How does that even happen? But yeah, great.
I love it when both of you were saying it's already. That word.
Yeah.
Ready. So.
Yeah. And what can you say beyond already?
What could I possibly add? It's just, I'm just so amazed right now as this manifestation of this life is so incredible as it is. And we are so arrogant. We think we are supposed to fix it or something or change it.
Yeah. And that's the tragic part of me, you know, because it's just all here, so alive. It's so, I don't know, no word, but it's so all the time. But the me is not able, you know, just missing it all the time. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Great. Oh, good. All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And
Thank you. Thank you.
hope to see y'all soon. I don't know when I'm
Sure.
going to have another meeting, but you know, it will be soon. Great. Okay. See ya. Bye.
Bye.